don't be intoxicated.
All right, so Jesus had a problem with wine, but he said you're going to drink this and it's the blood.
No.
But he had wine. All right, so all the disciples were drunk, as a lot of people don't know, right? Because wine was good, as long as it was red. Right? As long as it was red, everybody had it, but the pastor don't understand. Right now, I bet you the pastor in his church, they got some wine, and they got the little small little cracker with a cross on there, with the body and the blood of Christ.
It sounds good, but there was some juice.
Come on, man.
What's so crazy about this?
Hey.
It's always the people that got all the information, but got the wrong information because they're trying to think what goes on in church, but because he got wine in his cup, he thinking we going right now.
There ain't no wine in my cup, because in my cup is the resurrection. It's what he talking about. See, Jesus came, and Jesus said that the dead buried the dead. I was telling my mama, see, he still think he alive, right? But if Jesus said that the dead buried the dead, when he was talking to somebody supposed to be alive, how could the pastor think that his ministry is alive?
Well, you be talking about him. He wasn't talking about.
He's talking about everybody.
No,
He like the dead buried.
No. He said, you follow me and let the dead bury the dead. He wasn't talking about those that are in Christ. He said, he that believes in me shall never die. So he's talking about those that don't believe in him. And those that is dead, he said, let the dead bury the dead. But it's amazed me that sitting up here with all this knowledge, come on, watch this here. And he got all this Bible, but he don't even know he did.
Come on, listen, I ain't dead because Jesus came, he thinks Jesus coming back. But Jesus is consciousness, right? Jesus is consciousness. He thinks Jesus coming back, but Jesus already came and did what he did. Jesus said God is within, right? So everybody looking for Jesus.
Yo, what up there, everybody tapping in? We had this conversation because it's a good one. It's like the knowledge versus like religion, right? And so you got Pastor with Unc. So I had a lot of conversations about Unc because if you know history and knowledge, then you know Unc ain't just talking, he play crazy. So we're going to break down this, have a good laugh, and really get some insight because it's really something to get from this. And comments welcome.
Jesus will come back. Jesus said, if you look up, then the birds will get to heaven before you. If you look down, then the fish will get to hell before you. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. If you want to find Jesus, look within. Right? A lot of people don't know this. See, Jesus is consciousness. See, in 400 AD, they changed the Bible. So Pastor needs to ask two questions. The first question you ask is this. What was Jesus between 12 and 33?
Who was they?
Right? Everybody changed. You don't change it.
No, you don't even mind me. Everybody always saying what's up.
He asked Unc who was they. Right? To ask that question is a good question because he keeps saying who is they. So Unc said it real quick. He said the Europeans. Right? But we'll give you more detail apart as this goes forward. Because when we say they, we talking about Europe or the nations who changed the Bible, the Council of Nicaea, stuff like that. Because I could tell that a lot of people, this is the thing, the people with the knowledge and information, a lot of people assume they don't know church, but they don't realize that we grew up in the church or the mosque, and a lot of us, if we grow, we see what's alike about it, but we able to still transcend and go forward, but also still try to build.
I'm back for yourself.
But no, I want to ask that question though. Where was Jesus in his teenage years? Where was Jesus?
He was in Africa, what we call Africa. He was in Kemet. But it wasn't called Kemet. He was in America. Right? A lot of people don't know. America is Africa.
Let's talk about it because everybody laugh at Unc, but I'm gonna tell you why he's telling you the truth. Jesus was in many places. He traveled. He was in the land of milk and honey. Right? We never got translations of where that is. That's America. Secondly, from 12 to 33, he was traveling, but he was in India too. You can check this now that I'm telling you, look this up. He was in India. He studied with the Buddhists, the healers. This is where he was practicing how to heal, how to use herbs. That was in India. In the American part, if you know about these things, as Unc go forward, if you watch my convos, you've seen that I've shown some of this stuff from historians too. Not just off of what we say.
That's a lot of people know. Jesus was right here, right? But a lot of people want to think he was over here, he was over there. But it just don't make sense. You got to understand, they changed everything. And the first thing they changed was the map, right? They changed the map. They turned it upside down. So now you think Africa is Africa. But I'm going to tell you this. They named it Africa. That was the name of America was.
I'm going to back Unc to show you that this is true history. Even in college in the world, anywhere you go, they'll tell you that they know, and they really know that the number one thing they did when they conquered was change the maps meaning that the locations, and flip it upside down. One day I was watching TV, and what was it? What's that show? House. And they had a case where they was talking about the map. And so he looked at House. He said, hey, you ain't never heard of up-down theory? House was like, what is that? He said, when Europeans conquered the globe, they flipped the maps upside down, right? And what they did was, when you flip the map upside down, the map we got today, all of the European nations and all of the colder nations are on top. The mind and the brain, anything that's on top automatically is associated with better. And anything that's on the bottom is automatically associated with lesser than. And the proof, they say, well, prove it. If the north and south was proper on our maps, then cold air falls and hot air rises. That mean that that New Jersey would, in New York and all of that, would be hotter than the South, and that's not true. It's colder in the winter in New Jersey. It's a milder winter in the South, which lets us know that heat doesn't fall, heat rises.
The garden eat. I saw my mama, look it.
Where you get on your
Look it. I get it from God.
What God?
I get it from God.
Oh,
Listen,
okay.
listen, I get it from God. Well, you got a God, but I get it from God, the big God.
You know, he sound good.
Right?
That sound good. But you know what? That amazed me. He's so deep till he sleep. Now what? But now he too deep. He so
Nice people.
But you got some people that's gonna accept it, and you ignorant. Everything sound good. When you don't have knowledge, you're gonna talk about history. He go.
Now I'm gonna tell you why he wrong for what he just said. You see Unc face? Because he called Unc ignorant. It's only one ignorant person in this room. No disrespect to the pastor. It's the pastor. The pastor has never seen the information Unc said, but he called Unc ignorant. Right? But has this guy, has he actually read and learned? Right? Because this is the conversation that I have talked to a lot of people. In order for an intellectual or somebody who does still believe in the creator to have a conversation with you, we can't just have a conversation off of this book that you believe in. Because we can talk about the book, but you need context. You need to understand what was going on during that time in the world. You need to understand what was the rules during that time in the world. What were the men like? What were the women like? What was normal? What was not normal? Because we can't go from 2025 and put our world on history. We have to understand that. But when he was like, it's funny when people be ignorant, but the word ignorant means to not know. And pastor doesn't know the information that he knows or hasn't searched, right? Because we know, as a person that studies history and digs, we learn about the origins of the Bible and all the religions, where they come from, how they were created and started. That doesn't make us wrong. Don't mean we got to believe everything, but we learn it for understanding so that we can have a better understanding of what we're following. You get me?
I'm talking about date. I saw you gonna say date. Who was date?
Date.
Who was date?
Who is they is? God said let us make man in our image. Well, who's us here? Who's us? He said that God said let us make man in our image.
I'm gonna tell you why. Yo, he is a genius. When y'all watch yo, it's like Orlando Brown. This is a very intelligent man. For him to even make a comparison of that line of the Bible back to him, this is an intelligent man. Both. Right? But I want you to understand. He's saying, who is them? Them. Europe. I'm going to answer this question. Them. Europe. Them. Greece. Them. The Council of Nicaea, where they put the Bibles and the books together for the Bible. Right? Them. The popes. And the Pacific Pope of Rome, who the Christians was a group of educated people in Rome at a time. He was a scholar, but all of the best students, they followed him. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, in it's not just reading. You want right now on Cinemax, there's a show about all the popes. When you get like to the 5th episode, it will show you this pope, and they're gonna tell you about the Christians who they were not like a religious group. They were like the young scholarly, and he had a lot of pull. So this pope brought him in. Each pope brought a different thing, and to the point to where they were selling the papacy. I always ask a lot of people I talk to into the church, and we be building. Well, why does the Roman Catholic Church make all the choices for the Christian church? Why does all the history of what you know what I mean? What people or the religious people would like what I came up on? Why is that all the rules are made by another sect of religion that doesn't even worship the same thing that you do?
So they know then ain't no us.
Now let me say this. The reason why when he say, and the point that Unc is making is this, y'all. The point he's making is, when you say us, he said Europe. But he keep trying to be funny because he trying to say that he don't know no information. But what Unc is saying, well, tell me who us is, because I had this conversation. It says, let's make man in our image. I had somebody recently tell me that God has no gender, male or female. Well, then what reference would the Creator have to make a male and a female? And man is plural for man and woman. So why do you have to say us? These are questions that nobody ever answers for you. So that's why when he kept saying they, if you read and research, we can tell you, depending on what part you want, who it came from, Europe, Greece, Italy, who it came from, right? But can you tell us, the Bible can never answer for you who is us, because it's not in the text. It never tells you where he was when the world was created, and it also doesn't tell you who was with him. And if he was by himself, there's no need to say, well, let's make man in our image. So what I seen it was a genius point by Unc to be able to parallel. And this is me showing you how intellectually intelligent Unc is. Because when he said who's they, historically, we can answer that question. But if you believe in the Bible, right, as far as like Christian, respectfully, the Bible can't answer who is us during the creation story. Let's make man in our image. You get me? So he kept asking who's they, but Unc is saying, well, you questioning me, but the Bible that you worship and believe, respectfully, it can't answer who's us when he said, let's make man in our image. You know what I'm saying?
Let him explain that, though. Let the bishop explain that. Let the bishop talk about it.
It amazed me. Now, it's amazing how smart folk can be.
Come on,
They get so smart.
I ain't smart.
So they lay it dark. Watch this. When he said, let us think man, the Bible said in the beginning was the Word, and the Word with God, and the Word was God. All things was made by him. Without him, not anything was made. He was talking to the Word. That's why he said, let us. And Jesus is the Word of God.
So God was talking to himself. Let us, man. Come on, man. You ain't know that.
Yo, okay, this is the same point I made the other day on the phone. So 1 minute in the conversation, sometimes it's like God doesn't have a gender, male or female. But then at some point in the conversation, if we talking for hours, a person will say, well, it's a male. That's why we say father. Right? And so now he's saying that, these are my points. He's saying, without any, this is the thing when I say on the intellectual. If we're going to have an intellectual debate, we can't have an intellectual debate or conversation if we keep saying, I believe. So if I'm talking to you about history, knowledge, and I'm giving you facts and things that have been shown, not about disproving you or what you believe, but we having a conversation, because if we're going to have an intellectual conversation, we talking about the things that we can find and attach to it so that we can see the truth and the reality, right? No God or no creator wants you to just not learn. If that's the case, we want to give you the ability to learn. So it's those things.
Ain't no, we ain't battling in there. No, we ain't going there.
Well, here's the thing, though. See, he wanted to draw the scripture out. Now he trying to say God is talking to himself.
He said God was talking to himself.
He said, let us. What God was doing, he always reflect back to man understanding. Anytime you see God, and you say God said and God speak, he's speaking to us in our own logo, in our own language. God don't have lips. God don't have eyes. You don't have feet. You don't have hands. God don't have no attributes of man. So when God speaks, he only speaks to us where we can understand our language. A mosquito ain't gonna talk English. A dog gonna bark. A cat gonna meow. A cow gonna Why? They speaking in their own language. So when you're dealing with God, God got to deal with us with the word, because we speak word. So when you understand what the Bible says, all things were made by him. When he say us, he just referring to
right. I'm gonna tell you.
Referring to
I'm gonna tell you.
God speaks. Not us in this.
I'm gonna tell you.
God need help, but he got pardon. But it just showing that God has authority to the word.
I'm gonna tell you who
word they are.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you who us is.
He don't know it because them.
Come on, gang. I know it. Listen, I'm gonna tell you who us is, because everybody confused. Language is language. Us simply mean us. God is not a pretty God. God not gonna confuse nobody. God would not say us unless it was an us. But this was the Bible to understand. And I don't mess with the Muslims, right? I do mess with the Muslims, but I don't mess with their God. I don't mess with Allah, right? But the Muslims speak of two creations. One is the spiritual creation. So when he says, let us make man in our image, he was talking about the spiritual creation. Because first was the spiritual creation. So the word that he talked about was Sophia. Because Sophia was the word. She was knowledge, she was understanding. But the church don't know it all. That's what I'm on. Because they blocked it. So the word is Sophia, man. That's what I'm on.
Now, when he started talking Sophia, I'm gonna say it like this. In the original Bible in Ethiopia, I believe it was 96 or 92 books. The versions that we get, and most of the versions only have 62 to 63 chapters in them, right? And those chapters are not in there because it was things that they didn't want people to know or they didn't agree with. And this is on top of the fact that the way that they picked the books in the first place, or the tablets, was by throwing them like a frisbee across the room onto a desk. And then whatever landed on the desk is what they put in the Bible, right? So let's say I'm talking to somebody in belief. I'm not saying this statement as to try to disprove or to make you feel bad or trying to discredit your God. I'm giving you historical facts. So when he said first there was the word, right? Now, if you know anything about metaphysics, you got to know metaphysics to know what Unc talk about. Unc call it Sophia. But I'll give you something it's something I learned. It's ancient teaching. And I'm going to give it to you. Before there was the creator that created all, it didn't create man, right? But it created gods. And they would say that these gods, right? This is like stories of ancient time. One of these, like, it created a god. And this god created the earth, created the angels, right? He didn't create more gods. He couldn't. The God that created the angels and the earth and all this, it is not a God that created universes and stuff like that, if you really pay attention. Because that's why God didn't make more gods. And I'm giving you ancient history. This is like Greek mythology, all of this stuff. It's similar. That's why Unc is not really so far off. But it says, and this is like old Bobby Hemmett, that the original creator, it creates gods. It didn't create man. And it created many other gods. But this particular God is in between, like you got the creator, and then you got, let's say, earth. In between us is the God that we know that they got us trying to serve, right? This is ancient stuff, right? That's why the God of the Bible created the angels, right? The earth. And so it was like, first there was the word. The word would be when a person speaks, it's like air, it's like life, right? So that's why it still needed life to be breathed into the creations. If y'all get what I'm saying. But this is like, the more you dig in like ancient times, you start seeing this story a lot.
And that's what a lot of people don't know.
I thought you put up.
Yeah, listen. That's a lot of people don't know. That's a lot of people don't know. Next question, gang. That's a lot of people don't know. The word was Sophia, right? Listen, the word was Sophia, and us was the dimmers and all his angels, his icons. Listen, it was angels and icons. And all these angels. Now, I'm thinking about one thing. Now, God never the same. He right about one thing.
I'm not right about
He right about one thing.
On the word.
God never the same.
On the word.
Listen, the same God go kill. But they say it's bad. It's bad what God go for. Last time he tried to trick and say, God don't kill. Listen, murder is murder.
I had this same conversation. I don't agree with everything Unc said, but his knowledge is sound, right? But I don't disagree with a lot of things he say either. You know what I'm saying? He got his own view, his perspective, but the knowledge, his foundation is solid. When I had a conversation recently where a person told me, I said, well, do the God that you worship, do they rule in love and fear? And everybody would tell me, like, oh, my God rules in love. And then I start quoting Bible back to them. And I say, there's a story in the Bible where I believe it's Moses. God sent him to a city to find out if these people in the city know of him. So when Moses come back, Moses said, he was like, these people, they live in harmony. They working together. You know what I'm saying? They're peaceful. They just don't know who you are. And it was like, kill them all. For what reason would you kill all these people just because they don't have a presence of you? Think about it.
Well, let me tell you how it got bad.
When you
Gang.
But what God do is heal.
Jay, listen. Jay, there's no such thing as a lie.
God ain't on the roof.
Gang, there's no such thing as a lie. He can lie all day. But let me tell you why doesn't say
God's gonna do evil.
Let me tell you evil. Come on, gang. God do good evil. Got a balance.
God ain't such shit like that.
Come on, gang.
I'm gonna tell you what Unc right. And when you look at the word live and you spell it backwards, this is alchemy. It's evil. So the opposite of living, the opposite of to live is to be evil. It's on the same spectrum, right? You know, just different words like that too when you flip them around. Like the word room, when you flip it around, it says more, but the room would be a square, right? There's reasons for this. This is not by accident that these words backwards spell something, right? So I do understand that much, and I hope y'all can get what I'm saying.
God said everything comes from me. He said good and evil come from God. That was Jesus said. That was Jesus said. Jesus said both good and evil come from me.
Okay.
Come on, gang.
That sounds good.
All right, I got a deep question. I got a deep question for both of you guys.
Tell her put a stop sign in front of the child
Every
real quick.
atheist I don't know ask me this question. I say God is real. They say, well, who created God?
Let me tell you this.
Who created who?
Who created who?
They're saying that the creator is real. If he's real, who created him?
Let me take this because he don't know.
Okay, let's
he don't know.
Let's do our point.
Listen, and that's what I want everybody to understand, right? So you got to understand two things. I am. And when you say I am, that simply means everything. I am everything. I am don't need no explanation. Who need an explanation but I am? Right? Because I am everything. Time doesn't exist. Right? How can you try to explain the creation from a creation? You asking me to explain something that created me. You don't even make sense. So apparently, the closest thing that I can do is tell you this, right? Everything that he created was mirrored. And a lot of different gods, a lot of different people, because they don't even know who he is. They tell you one thing, the true God is silent. He don't say much. He ain't got much to say, right? Because he do what you should do. He create and let it go, right? Because creation is just good, regardless if it's bad or not. Because there's no bad or good. Let me tell you how I'm for certain there's no bad or good. This is how I know for a fact there's no bad or good, right? Because right now, if you somebody, the intentions could be bad, but the same, when God doing the Bible, the intention was good, so now that same murder is good. How can that be? Right? And I'll tell you this, everything is controlled by the mind, so there's no such thing as a lie. You ever met a person that lie and believe they lie?
Yeah.
They lie become true because your mind and your word create your reality. So a lie gonna turn the reality that you live into a lie. That don't mean it's a lie. Your reality is just gonna be crooked. So the pastor over here got a whole lot of crooked because the reality and everything he know has been a lie. I swear to God on my mama.
Right? You keep
What's your answer, Pastor?
Some of this you gotta laugh at, but it's deep what he's saying.
The foolishness of his thinking. First of all, you have to realize that when you say who created God, that's not a question, that's a foolishness. Anything when you call it created doesn't have a time, cannot have a source. That doesn't make sense. But God is, like he said, I am that I am. You can't give God a name. I agree with that. You can't give him a title. You can't
we get somewhere. Okay.
Thoughts. You're not educated enough. You're not smart enough. So what God is,
and you can't give him a son either.
And well, we get to that too. God doesn't really have a son in reality because the Bible said, God said,
oh, okay, we getting somewhere, huh? So you see why these conversations, why we need, even with Unc doing this, when the intellectual men and the spiritual, when the spiritual intellectuals and the spiritual believers sit down, we can find some common ground if we willing to listen to each other. We ain't got to discredit each other the whole way, but we can find common ground and start finding ways to really move forward. Because if it's self-created and it has no parents and it creates, then it has no parents, it has no children, it has no siblings. So how is there a son? But this is just the questions, not knocking it.
This day you would be like a son under me. Everything belonged to God. So God, when he spoke, when he said, let there be light, it's not necessary God have to say it verbally or out of his mouth. God can just think of things. He don't have to say, let there be. He's God. But he give us understanding how creation was formed. And so when you say, who created God, that's really funny to me. That don't even make sense. So that sounds good.
Hey, look, the pastor is lost. He lost. The pastor don't know who created God because God can't be created. Did you say that?
Yes.
Oh, he good. Oh, he good. He good.
Yeah.
He good.
But listen,
He good.
he done told us not too long ago he was God.
Oh, you don't think I'm God?
I know.
But he said I'm not God. I'm going to prove it, and I can prove it right now. Was I created by God?
You ain't God.
Listen, so if you create your son is what? You want him to be like you, right?
Yes.
Right? So that's the same I'm telling you. That's how you know I'm God. Because whatever created me, I gotta be it. I gotta make, oh no, I didn't say you was son. I said I had a son. Let me talk. Oh, see, I said, those ones in the church, they talk too fast and too much. I asked you a question, if you had a son. But they want to compare that. But they don't read their own book. But they...
What you can't say about Unc is that underneath all of the jokes, laughing, bullshit, if you are intellectual and you're a reasoning person and you're a logical person, he definitely lays out some real foundation. Even if you take away just the knowledge, this is principle at times. He's saying that if I'm created by something, you created, like, you have children. So if you're a woman and you had a daughter, then she could be what you could be, right? And she could be greater than you. That's why Jesus said in the Bible, it's the point. It says that I can do greater works than I can. So we not only are gods, but we are not limited to do what they do. We are unlimited power to go beyond it in that aspect. And what's the need to say it in the Bible or any ancient text unless it has some value to how we think, right?
They do read their own book, but they don't read the books that lead them after their book, because there's other books they still read, because Jesus, again, from 1233 times was missing. And they don't even check to see where he was at. Right? And until you understand that, you can't understand what I'm talking about. Jesus was so...
Like that. When I sit down and talk to a bunch of people, regardless of what you believe, I notice to an open-minded person it's different, but on average, it's not completely a person that's Christian fault, because when I grew up Christian, they taught us, you know, we only look in the Bible, we look nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know that there was 30-something books taken out that Bible. Not because God said, but because the Roman Catholic Church of Europe didn't want it in the books. And some of this stuff is buried under the Vatican. So when he asking where was he from 12 to 33, it's out there. But why won't that put that? Why? How come nobody is going to get the information about Jesus properly? We'll read this book in the Bible and they give a story, but my whole life, it's very little told to you by the pastor that there's a history, there's a place, there's a trail, you can go look this up. It was never supposed to be religion. What Yeshua meant was he don't know nothing about Christianity because he wasn't a Christian. That came up like 450 years later.
Wells game.
Let me share something.
Okay.
Let me share something with you.
I got
No
time to
man has
feel
all
something.
knowledge. I heard somebody ask me what color was Jesus was. I heard somebody say, what did he do who he played with? Who was his friends in the neighborhood? What street?
That don't matter to you?
Listen, it doesn't matter.
Why? I ain't gonna be like him. Jesus said, well, I do all men can do. How can you do it like he followed it?
Watch that. There's so many things that Jesus done that doesn't make sense dealing with salvation. I need to know what can keep me from disobeying God. And what teaches me how to please God. So I'm not concerned about if Jesus like pork chop.
So this is what and so in my conversation recently when I was building with, because I build with people that's Muslim, Christian, all religions. Open mind is what I'm about, because it's not about discrediting. But what he just said, and let me go back a tad bit, because I want it just a tad bit here. Just so we can
keep me from disobeying God. And what teaches me how to please God. So I'm not concerned about if Jesus like pork chop.
The corner man will never understand.
All right, he said. So I asked when I was talking to the person the other day. Whenever we was going through like the Bible or stuff like that, when they were giving me stuff about, and we were talking about the context of time, like Sodom and Gomorrah, and the story is such a plain story. It's like somebody saying, "Hey." It's like somebody saying, it's like they say, I'm gonna cook you dinner, and then they bring you food with no seasoning. And so I start asking, I stop them and I say, look, you know, the story you giving me, we just kind of generalize it. Let me give you detail, because you need to understand why Lot went to the cave, because they stored wine in caves because they were cooler. Will let you know that Lot was an alcoholic, because that's why he didn't go to the city he was supposed to go to, right? It's certain things you need to understand about what was going on at the time. If you don't care, if you worship a God that walked the earth and you don't care about what he was doing from the time he was born until the time he was 10 all the way up to his death, are we really followers? Or do we really do our research? Because like I always tell people, we taking these books too far without listening or even reading them, because it said my people would perish from a lack of knowledge, not a lack of love of Buddha, Jesus, Allah, anybody, from a lack of knowledge. So I've been trying to figure out, how did knowledge get banned in the church? So when I say to the Christians, the Muslims, everybody, if we're gonna talk about Muhammad and we're gonna talk about Jesus, you need to understand the time he lived, what was going on before he lived. What did these words mean, like marriage? Because marriage back then only meant that she had or she was married, meaning that she had a child by a man. But how can you believe in something intellectually? And I say this with all respect. If you don't care about what was going on with Jesus when he was 2, 3, 4, up to 33, then how are you a follower and a believer? If you don't care about what was going on with, like for example, with Islam, if you don't care, because I was telling somebody in the Quran, he's trying to get, for example, he's trying to get his light-skinned Arabs to love the brown-skinned Arabs, and he marries a dark-skinned woman, and his best friend Bilal was dark-skinned. But the question you got to ask yourself, if you know true history, well, in order for this to happen, that means that the Moors and the other ancient empires had to have fell already for racism to even have started, because there was no such thing as racism when everything was dark-skinned. So in order to get to the point to where he's teaching the pale Arabs and the dark-skinned ones to love each other, then that means the Moors, all of them, the Sumerian, everybody had fallen already, and the European control had already taken over and already been going on for a second, and he's trying to make it back even. So that's all of the questions that I always had.
It's like, that was Jesus.
Ice cream.
He'll never understand the things first.
So no man know everything about himself, and no man sure know everything.
I know everything. Nothing is hidden to me. What are you talking about? Nothing is hidden to me. That's the problem. Nothing is hidden to me. Listen, they tell you that you can't know everything, but I'm asking you a question right now. Where your brain located at?
Okay.
Let me say this. The reason why they tell you don't nobody need to know everything, that's to dumb you down and to make you a lesser of you. Man is whatever he or she thinks she is. Man is capable of whatever he or she think they are. Man can break boundaries on whatever he or she thinks she can. They normalize society, and everybody play by these little. What's normal isn't even average. It's under average.
Your brain located at?
I don't know.
See, he gonna probably say in his head. But it's proven that the brain is located in the head, so information is infinite. Information is in the cosmos. So how can I not know everything?
Okay, information in the cosmos. Let me ask you this here. What date you was born, and when
I died.
what's up? Huh?
I died 5 times.
You died. Hold up. You did. I tell you did die 5 times. You died when you lost your mind.
Come on.
You died when you got how old?
Come on, gang.
You died when you think you your own God. You died when you full of pride, and you died if you don't know Jesus. So yeah, you might have died.
And I get his points in some way, because in some of that stuff we hurting ourselves. We can't deny what he's saying. And I'll be fair and say, like, I get you, because we hurting ourselves, right? We hurting ourselves, right? But when we say pride is what they took from the slaves. And I'm tired of telling niggas this, and people when I talk to them, and I say it compassionately. You tell slaves they're too prideful. You tell slaves they know too much, and they think that, like, it's often, I remember working at Waffle House, and this dude said something to me in front of his wife. And we talking for a whole hour. And at the end, he was like, see, you too smart for your own damn good. And I turned around on the grill and I looked at him. And I said, to insult your creator. As if God made you to be ignorant, to not question. As if your creator, who's all wise, all knowing. How can I be too smart for my own good? But I never heard nobody say you too dumb for your own bad.
5 times. And when you go to sleep at night,
Cut that one out. That was good. Cut that one out. Make sure that was good. And listen, he practiced that shit. He had that.
Hey, I'm gonna cut it out.
He had that
I'm gonna cut it
wedding
out.
gang. That's the truth. Ain't no truth. I died 5 times. Listen,
Hey, I'm gonna cut it out.
You
Man. Don't worry
every day
about
you
that.
lay down, you die.
Next question, gang.
He made a good point, though.
Next question, gang.
How old are you?
Next question, gang.
In the Bible, they have some
50
controversial
died.
stuff going on.
You died
What's the next question, gang?
3.
The next question is, in the Bible, they have some controversial stuff going on sometimes. And here's a quote from the Bible right here, and it comes from Matthew 25:41. Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels.
What you understand about is, God in the Bible lets you know, first of all, he was jealous. He was jealous when he said, there's no God but me. When he said but me, that lets you know 2 things. 1, he aware of other gods. And 2, he was jealous of shit. If you walk in and tell your girl, ain't no God but me, what that mean? There ain't no man but me, what that mean? That means other men, right? Right? So listen, let me tell you 2 things. You gotta balance. He never said he was good.
Damn, Unc broke that shit down in a way that I want to see what Pastor got to say.
He said he gonna love you if you love me. Right? Listen, he's a jealous guy. That means he gonna give you something and take it back here and then give her. When on Sunday, church good. The pastor collector plate is good. They sending in money, spirit's hot. Come Monday, everybody up again. That's all they talk about. Right? Come Monday, everybody up again. Why?
And when the pastor say that's all they talk about, that's when I know that something ain't right with you in your spirit. Because, for one, there's no tithes and offering. They say you tithe and offer to not sacrifice animals. But if sacrificing animals are bad, then tithes and offering in replace of it is bad. So when he started saying passing the plate around, anytime I'm having a conversation with a spiritual leader, there's an offering plate, and they be like, man, that's all they talk about. No, we want to know why. Jesus and God can't do nothing with this money and this paper on earth. It ain't gonna do nothing for God. So you make it make sense. You say it's for the church to keep the building open, all of that. You know, it's people in the churches and in these places who out there barely got food to eat, and some of these people will pay and help and if you go open your mouth. But at the same time, a lot of the pastors are living like kings and queens. You know what I'm saying? And they're not giving fruition to the people. So that's what I say. A lot of people that I know that be like, yo, bro, you smart, but I disagree. Yo, sit down with y'all pastors and call me on 3-way. And just let me and your pastor talk and see how them, right? Sit me down with your email. Sit me down with the people that you respect, and let's have a real conversation, and you'll see how much is not shown.
Because the spirits are down. He loves you when you praising him. That's why he said when you go to heaven, you can sing, hey, hallelujah, amen, all day. He wants your worship and praise. But I'm going to tell you this, a true God don't need worship and praise because he already know he God.
Okay, let me say this here. Now, it sounds good. Now, watch this here. He said that, I always talk about the plate. Right? I'm so sick of folks talking about the plate getting passed. The plate get passed around at the restaurant. The plate get passed around at the
service.
Because
you're out the church.
Oh, it have a
He just said
The church is a business.
Yeah, everything he named was a business.
This is it. Watch this here.
He said when it comes to the offering plate, he said the plate go around when you go get something to eat. Yeah, it go around because I'm buying some food. So when I'm in a restaurant, I'm buying food for them. I'm paying for a service, right? When I go to other part buy a shirt, I'm paying for something that was made. I got a service. When I'm going to church, if the word is God, right, then it shouldn't be sold to me technically. But we understand that church is a business.
With God, when you say why he do certain things, what's the question you asked? I want to make sure.
He forgot.
The question was in Matthew 25:41. He said, then he will say, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire, prepare for the devil and his angels.
I know that. But
basically, he talks to somebody into the eternal fire.
Why would he say that? Why would he kill you for departing from you?
Okay, what's
why would he talk to you eternal fire?
When you dealing with God and you talking about depart from me, you work of iniquity, and you cast into hell. God gave man a choice. He said, I say cursed and blessed before. You choose to stay where you're going to serve. In creation, God does give us a choice. And the reason why he gives us a choice, because everything he created automatically submit to his will. But when he made man in the like and the image, which made we able to make our own decision. And this is what God chose to do. But watch this here. First of all, you have to understand, Unc sitting up here trying to explain.
So I wanted him, I want Pastor, maybe we get, that's why I say we need more we need more of that. We don't see, the issue is that the Christian pastor and the intellectual man is not sitting down, talking, debating to find a common truth. Do we really want to find God, or are we comfortable with the gods we see already? When it's all over and you face your creator, are you going to be able to say, I spent my whole life searching for you? And the creator looked back and said, no, you didn't. All you did was look at what they gave you when you was a little kid. You never searched for me. Right? So I hear it all the time. He said, God, everything God created is submit to his will. But with man, he gave us the option. He gave us the option, right? So that means that we are gods. If everything else that God creates has to submit, and then when he makes us, we don't have to submit, and we have the choice.
Blame God.
I hope he answered the question.
You use God as jealous.
And I say that not to discredit him. I'm saying I want to see him answer the question and hopefully get to it so that, you know what I'm saying, you get a good perspective on both sides.
That is so ignorant because God ain't jealous. He said it.
That's the second time he called him ignorant. Right? You don't, if you're intellectual and you know your stuff, you don't got to call somebody ignorant. Right? So the second time he called him ignorant. And in the Bible it says that God is a jealous God.
Word jealous, hold up, and all you'll get understand. You reading the letter. The word jealous doesn't mean he's jealous of somebody of his creation, and because you decide to worship the devil, you decide to worship this woman and this man, and you provoke God to be jealous. He the one created you. That's not what he's talking about. The word jealous means dislike. He's trying to speak to us in the language what we can
see. That right there is very dangerous. There's a time in history where the Christians and the Christians created their own dictionary to change words. If you want to get mad at me, go ahead, but look it up. See, the answers like this, we were too young and not intellectual enough. That's not an answer. Now, anybody who watches this, pastor, a heavenly scholar, that want to get in my inbox and have a conversation, I'm all for it, right? It ain't got to be arguments. You can bring information, but if you're not open-minded, you got to come in with an open mind too, right? You can't just come and think you're going to push off, because you got to be able to really realize that it's that's confusing our youth, and it's that's stopping our progression. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to go back to a play for a second.
The word jealousy doesn't mean he's jealous of somebody of his creation, and because you decide to worship the devil, you decide to worship this woman and this man, and you provoke God to be jealous. He the one created you. That's not what he's talking about. The word jealous means dislike. He's trying to speak to us in the language what we can understand.
If you did it right, you're going to get the low vibration.
He letting you
he high and low.
No.
God, I love you, right? I hate you.
Okay, let me say this. He let you know what he disliked. So he used the word jealousy because that's our language. So it's the same way if you look at somebody that you say your daughter and you create something, and somebody give that more credit than the creator. He's telling you he just like that because I'm the one that created. It'll be crazy for me to make something and you give somebody else the credit for it. And so when God says he's jealous, he's letting you know I deserve the praise, not the. You worship the creature more than the creator. He's not saying that man or anything.
So the Latin origin of the word jealousy is represented by the words invidia and aminatio. While both can relate to jealousy, invidia is more commonly associated with envy, while whatever that is, and I'm gonna show y'all. Let me make it clear for you. More commonly used with envy, and then while this other one, latio, whatever it is, can refer to rivalry or, right? So, Unc said that it means, not Unc, but the pastor said, or bishop, excuse me, he's saying that it don't mean that, it just mean don't give my praise to somebody else, right? But see how dangerous that is? To infer on something with no knowledge of it. Then how, these are the people that are leading our children because of their compassion for God, Buddha, Jesus, and Allah. Not they're coming in this as a religious leader instead of as an intellectual that's supposed to be searching, because there's a lot of Christians who are Christian scholars. These are the people that are passionate and care about. They want to put it like this: if you in church and you go to church every Sunday, you a believer of God, right? But if you actually researching and studying and because like I keep asking you, no, y'all don't want to know who these people are and what it is. So I just wanted to show you why that was dangerous. And it was a time in history where the Christians had made they took words and made a dictionary, and none of their words mean what words mean. It's what they wanted them to mean. It's called social engineering.
It's bigger than him, or put him in a bad day, or make him feel like, oh, you chose him over me. God is not caught up into that. Right. So he's only
not
speak
caught up
to
in
us
that.
in our language. Right. That's why I'm looking here. I can't be jealous because he got these tight braids in his head.
Come on, man.
No,
Insult.
No, this.
Insult.
No, them braids real tight.
Insult.
Listen. Them his braids. He the one put them in there. But I'm jealous because if I look at them braids, I want some braids. So I'm just using that. So I'm jealous of him. That's man. But when God, everything belongs to God. So how can he be jealous of anything when everything belongs to him anyway? That don't make sense.
Then that's the only thing that I be asking is, and I don't disagree with him. It was a very good breakdown. But my issue is, but the Bible still says God is a jealous God. So if he's not, then who put it in there? And these are the questions.
Sense.
Hold on.
USDA
Let me
choice
mute this for a
ribeye.
second. But that's why I brought this. When I was watching this a little bit, I said, yo, I wanted to see how people feel. And right now, I know a lot of people gonna watch and might not even give feedback for those who are brave enough or have an opinion that want to hit me directly in the inbox, and we can do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm very well sound. I always say, if you're gonna do anything, know what you into. You know what I mean? It's easy to, if you in any religion and you look at other religions and you say that my way is the only way, you got to start questioning and ask yourself, well, what if this man over here that's a Buddhist, that's not a Christian, and he's a good person, love his wife, kids, one of the greatest people on earth. He gonna go to hell because he don't know who Jesus is? And people will be like, well, and I'd be like, yo, and then they say they judge you by your heart, not by your religion. So.
Okay. Question number
Listen,
three.
I want to say, listen, I want to say this. Everybody is having a good place.
Yes.
All right, if heaven was so good, why did Jesus go free people from heaven then? It's in the Bible.
No.
When he died, the first place he went was hell. He freed you from hell, and then he went to heaven. He took from his soul from heaven too. I swear to God, no. Where did he take the people from then? It is documented in the Bible, but they use a different name for heaven. Right? But for everybody watching, those watching, Google it and look it up.
What scripture he coming?
In your Bible. I swear to my mama, this is fact. This is fact. When Jesus died, he went to He went two.
I say somebody that don't know.
He went two places.
About.
He went two places. He went to hell. Okay, hell is it?
Hey,
First of all, God.
I'm gonna say it like this. It's like he mixing two stories, but our pastor got a point here because I don't. What it is, it's in. Part of it is in the Bible, and part of it is in the book of Enoch. That's his issue, depending on what Bible you got. Because remember, there's over 100, 200 versions of this Bible. So this is the issue. It depends on what version you got. You got the version that ain't got the book side of it, like Ethiopian Bible, then you would probably get more connected story, because when he died, he took Enoch to hell and to heaven. And at the end, Enoch asked Jesus, he was like, well, why is there more people in hell than heaven?
When you go to hell, that's it. So why would Jesus go to hell and take people from hell? Because that's the final place.
Good question.
Right? So I'm just telling you two things. One, heaven is a duplicate of the heavens and the Broma, and the cosmos, and the heavens with an S. That's where you want to go.
Okay.
You don't want to go to the heaven, which is a mirror of the heavens, right? And I'm going to tell you the two things. A high vibrational being is high vibrational. If you saying God is all love, he high vibration.
I mean, heaven is
Low vibration is 7. Low vibration,
name up.
low vibrational is low vibrational. That is low vibrational. But the guy he talking about is mixed. So if that God is mixed, it gotta be the difference that he don't even know.
Where do God?
Right? He gotta be mixed.
Where God live?
He gotta be mixed.
Where he live?
He gotta be mixed.
What caste?
He live outside I know one thing for sure, he live outside the firmament. Cause they locked us in the firmament. They locked us in the firmament.
He ain't locked up nowhere.
They locked us in the firmament. Get out there.
No.
Tell somebody out.
We locked up, but not him.
No, God
All right.
listen, the real God locked the fake God in the firmament, and the fake God made us. I swear God, no.
Let me say this. Let me say this, yo.
Okay.
One thing I learned that dealing with people who so deep in the half
I ain't deep, I'm stupid.
in half sleep. Watch them.
Deep and half sleep.
But watch them. Most people.
Hey, yo, it do kill me when I talk to people who like, you see Unc face right now? I can relate to it. Because it's almost like when you hit a brick wall, when we dealing with just people that's just strictly religious that don't really care for knowledge. Why put it like this? Why shun the people that went out there and looked for if it was true or not, who cared enough, who cared about what they mama and they daddies and they brothers and them was worshiping and cared enough to do the research and the dig? Why are these people stupid? Right? Why are the people, but how are they stupid and it comes with all these thousands of hours? But what about the person that goes to church every day or go to the mosque every day? I'm just making an example, no disrespect, but never did the research and just listen to what pastors say. How are they smart?
That when they hear somebody like, he say so much stuff that he don't even know what he's saying. Watch the
No, I don't know if they gonna say. Listen, what I'm saying, don't nobody know what they saying. Because one of the download, they not talking.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a win just for saying that because I like how he put it together though. But I understand him because see, I do like that Bishop. It's certain things that Uncle will say that kind of like I don't know that verse, right? That's real. It's certain things where like his composure is 1,000, and Bishop is making some good points. It's just the issue I'm having with Bishop and a lot of Bishop and pastors. They are not knowledgeable. When I talk to pastors, they can't answer so many questions. And it's like, did you go to theology school? But if you went to school to learn about the different gods in theology and you already went there with a God, you went there biased. And that's why the teacher said, clearly you didn't come here to learn.
Let me say this here. But one thing I learned about life, that there's going to be somebody that's going to grab and say, oh, he making sense. That sounds good. I claim to know anything. The Bible said, any man that think he know anything don't know nothing. So, when you dealing with life,
a wise man know he really knows nothing, but he still knows more than everybody else. But he knows nothing. But the reason why the wise man know he knows nothing is because information is infinite. So even though he knows nothing, his 5% download takes 40 years to learn. I just wanted to specify.
I'm not concerned about this information that I don't know. I don't know what heaven like. You just asked. We don't know what heaven like. The Bible said no man have seen, no man rise.
Everybody's so cold, but I know.
And watch this. What God has prepared for his people that love. People ain't.
Listen to that question. And I asked this question. And I want you personally to ask yourself this question. Why are you, whether if it's a man or woman or family, husband, wife, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, why are you so comfortable with not knowing? My people will perish from a lack of knowledge. At what point did the church convince people and the religion convince people that knowledge wasn't good? Especially the church. When you're talking to the Muslims, knowledge is good. They're all for knowledge. Can we make this make sense?
You know what hell look is like, but they scared. Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die. So
we know what hell look like. We live in it.
Watch it. And watch it. Everybody. Watch it. Everybody talk about a hell. If they don't believe there's a hell, why they scared to die? So watch this. So anytime you listen to anything that people talk about, it's a fact that some of this stuff that we're hearing, it got to be some facts somewhere about it, because we won't be talking.
Hold up, we talking about fear. Nobody fear is what they use to control you, right? That's what they know. That's what they know. They want to control you. If you spend your life, all your life, not scared nothing, they know they gonna get you at. They gonna get you in one place. If you ain't scared to die, they gonna get you being scared to hell, right? Only thing you need to do to come back in this earth is the fear, right? One thing, that's why Jesus said, fear nothing, right? Because Jesus already understood that to get out of here, you cannot have no fear. Fear keep you bound to earth, right? To a low vibrational state.
Low vibration,
right?
high vibration.
So you have to understand that fear, even if you fear God is wrong, right? You should not fear nothing, right? But he say you can't, they in the same book, you say nobody seen God, but Moses seen him, and when Moses seen him, he was a kid.
Moses seen God.
Yeah, in the burning bush.
No.
Moses came out the bush.
What scripture he
He came
came
out the bush. Did he see him in the bush?
No man has seen.
Yeah, he seen him. He said he seen his back. He said he saw him as a kid. But he said they don't read their book. But look.
That's facts. Also, in Sodom and Gomorrah, he wasn't praying to God. He was asking. Because he asked him, he was like, yo, if I bring you 200 people, and will you not destroy these cities? And they end up eventually agreeing to like 5 people. That's not praying if you're having a conversation.
But he's talking about the kid for one reason. He said,
Hey, look, you got an afro.
yeah, you gotta listen to me.
He got to go grill in his mouth.
Yeah, listen to me.
You got to check
You gotta listen to me. I'll break it down.
Snoop Dogg was tearing down. I'm God have a necklace.
I'll break it down. I'll give it to you.
Then God,
Listen. All you gotta understand, all the information is decoded in your skin. So I get all the information from my skin. Right? So what I tell you today is true. Because all only thing I can say is truth.
Okay, I got another question.
I'm going to ask this bird.
Another controversial scripture out of the good book. It says in Exodus 20:21, if a man strikes a slave and the slave dies immediately, he shall be avenged. But if the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be avenged, for the slave is his money.
Listen, a lot of people don't know this, right? Y'all want to take everything literal. You want to take it like the slave. And a lot of people think like slave is bad. Everybody's slave. You're a slave to the money, right? So let me tell you something. If you're going to be a slave then, right? And whatever you serve shall you, right? So y'all going to take it literal. A lot of things for your thought. It's not for you to actually take it for what it said. God ain't telling you to be a slave. He's letting you know everybody's slave to everything while you're on the earth.
You're going to serve something.
You're going to serve something. Right?
But you got to admit,
you're slave to money, you're slave to lust, you're a slave to a woman, you're slave to yourself, you're slave in your mind. He's totally right.
It's a challenge.
Somebody catch that.
Right?
Slave is not a bad word. It's how you use it.
It's how you use it. You got to understand.
You're submitting to something. You submitting your...
Because there's not a people on the planet who was not enslaved before. Even in ancient times when they say the gods was ruling over man, men were their slaves. So the slave aspect, you enslaving yourself every day, depending on how you think, what you putting on your body, how you going about it, how you treat your woman, your men, your children, right? You enslaving every day. You, like you said, you enslaved to the money, the power, the cars, the wigs, the women, you enslaved without anybody. They figured out how you enslave yourself without them putting chains on you.
Will to something. And when you're a slave to the wrong thing, it can take advantage of you. It can rob you from your purpose.
Well, I like to say one thing not bad. Right? The first burger not bad, but the 100th burger is a problem. Right? I want to say that Jesus said everything in it. They said what's good. Jesus said everything in the earth was good. Right? But I think that when you come to abusing everything, then it becomes bad. There's nothing on the earth is bad. I can't see one thing. Right? But people abuse things what makes good things bad. You can abuse water and drown yourself. Drink too much.
I give you an example. And for humans, when we kill, it's bad. It's murder. It's senseless, right? And I'm not saying I agree with it, but let's be fair. And we're gonna talk about intellect. When humans kill, they go to jail. It's murder. When the lion, the bear, and the animals kill out there, they don't go to jail. Everything on the earth is good. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. When animals kill, they kill to eat, and sometimes they kill to protect themselves. Do animals go to jail? Is there a prison? Is there a Bible for a dog, a snake, a cat, a rat, a dog, a Quran for any of them? And I know people going to say, well, the animals just reason. They've been proven for the last 10, 15, 20 years that animals are smarter than us. Get on board. They still spiritually connected. What's the excuse? You say, well, you got taken from our homeland. We still taking their land from them, building houses and cars and animals outside. So that's where you see how the intellectual and the pastor, they agree on that. Like,
right? So what you don't understand is a slave is not what you think. Right? You looking at it totally different.
Do you think it's bad for him to have black nails right here?
Oh, that's on my nails.
No. I'm saying he black nails. Do you think it's good or bad he got black nails?
He using his black nails in some kind of spiritual way though. I don't know.
Yeah.
It don't look spooky.
It's spooky, but I don't understand the spiritual meaning for it.
Listen, you on the goofy shit. I want you to try to smack you with this cup.
I'm 325 pounds. It wouldn't hurt.
You're right. You're right. Listen, y'all playing.
But he got some power in
He
the
said
black
you
nail.
right.
Listen, y'all playing.
That's what I think.
But
I'm telling you, when people see them black nails, they get scared. You know, they gonna wonder, the nails, they gonna look at where you got black nails from.
Oh, explain it to him.
The nails stand,
what
what
the
they
nails
stand for?
they stand for
He in darkness.
Hey, give me the song.
What's wrong with
the
dog?
song?
He's
What that
strange.
mean?
What's wrong with
It's
dog?
all wrong. They ain't saying nothing wrong. He's strange.
No, I got a question though.
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you why this conversation I like it. What's wrong with darkness? Before there was light, what was it? So darkness existed before light did. And if you know knowledge and if you dig like masonry and all this other stuff, Lucifer's the light bearer. And so before there's light, there's darkness. There's a lot of things that we got to understand. If, for example, if you want to enslave a people on the planet, the first thing we got to do is demonize their gods and make you believe everything that they had before you came and so-called saved them was no good. That's why every culture in the world that you go to and find out that there's dark-skinned people, you realize that there's a serpent on the statue somewhere. Because the serpent, before we was colonized, was the highest deity in our cultures. The word Tupac means shining serpent. It was the name of an Olmec king. But you have to understand. So the reason why when you read in these books and they tell you about the serpents and all this stuff, it's not saying there's no negativity. It's saying, but it's also telling you when you find out your history is connected to this serpent, now do you understand why you demonizing it? But if I tell you it's the devil over there, you'll never go find out that we're real, good and bad. It's still your shit. But you got to go look, but I can keep you away from it. So why is light respected and darkness not respected? But they've taught us since we was little kid what? On the TV shows, the cartoons, and the movies, every time they showed us darkness, they showed us negativity. They showed us evil. They showed us right. They never showed the good. But the reality is what? Our people come from dark energy, right? And the reason why they want to keep us away from it is because on a spiritual level, and I'm going to prove it, on a spiritual level, our people, we possess the highest form of chaos energy. You might not like it, but our people, we are great warriors. We are great conquerors because we have the greatest amount of chaos. So if you keep us away from darkness and you keep us in the light, then we never learn our true power. And that's why we slaves today. That's why we can't free ourselves in America or around the country, because we're so positive. Until we embrace the darkness and the chaos energy that we used to rule with, right? Because remember, what is a woman? She is chaos, right? And she's the highest of all civilizations, except for in religion.
So they all symbolize what's the he worked with witchcraft. Let me tell you what else. Okay, listen.
Jesus used mud to put on your eyes so you can see. That was voodoo. A lot of people don't know. That was voodoo. That was voodoo.
Hey, let him spit. Let him talk.
But that don't mean it's bad. That's voodoo. Some
He did use voodoo.
Other nation, they have black nails. Don't mean it's wrong. It's our perception. And that might be not wrong with his nails. Even they don't give no power. They don't take the power from him. But my perception can be anything. People can say, why is I'm sitting on the couch? Well, that's their perception. I thought all preachers hang at the church. That's their perception.
He sell confirmation on this
That's
stage.
facts, though. Good point.
Good point,
bro.
From hell, I don't get over here. Let me know. I don't want to be.
I just want to make sure I give Bishop his flowers too to make it fair, because he making some good solid points. The reason, and one thing about church and this is that we can't take away from the church. When I grew up in the church as a kid, like me having an understanding of that foundation made me a strong mind and helped me understand the knowledge because of the foundation. And I think that it teaches you to be good. Like really it's teaching you to be good, positive, love your brother. The message is clear. But it's certain things about it that's like if we really trying to free our people and liberate ourselves, and not just us, if you saying this for the world, and why so many secrets? Like Unc kept saying, why is it that the religions and people as we grow, why are we so comfortable in not knowing? Why are we comfortable with it? Like, it be like, bro, we ain't supposed to know that. Or, you know, we give ourselves excuses, man. Only God know everything. Only this and that's like, yo, but don't mean that you ain't supposed to try. You know what I mean?
On the road he on, because the road he on seem right to man. And I don't want to be
Listen, I joined his church just to get him the right way. Right? Listen, somebody
like that.
I joined his church. Listen,
I like that.
One thing about the pastor,
He gonna guide me the right way.
he knows what he talking.
That's on my mind.
Nothing he say is wrong. I just say this, keep looking.
Right.
Right? Because if you keep digging, you gonna
Gonna
find.
find whatever man seek, he shall find. If it not, it shall be open.
But
Keep
that,
seeking. Not like that.
Next
When he
question.
told
Next
us,
question.
he
Right.
told-
Now, it just said it. The Bible said it, right? To seek. But if the Bible keeps saying, there's another scripture, it says to seek. If you're a Christian and you only read the Bible, you're not seeking. One book, just like how you say to us as intellectuals, yo, 1 minute I'm talking and they telling me, now listen to this respectfully. I have a conversation with a lot of people and they'll tell me, we'll be talking for an hour or two, and then they'll tell me like, just because it's in a book don't mean it's true. And then I look at them like some nerve. But everything we talking about that your argument comes from is from one book. So if my hundreds of books or my studies and research have no value in the books of my understanding, then what gives your one book credence or credit?
People some the truth. One of the crazy thing that people are ignorant of, the Bible said be quick to let slow speak. You got people who reject some of the things that Unc say, and if they pay attention, he says some stuff that really makes some sense. And if it don't make sense, it makes some sense for you to search it out, where you won't lose yourself. So anytime something been said, you can learn from good and bad. You know, like he said, you can
only reason he don't know we speak from the same place. Listen, I know I hate the most. I hate the most when somebody speak from the same source and act like he different. Me and him speak the same thing. He is me, I am. The only difference is he been transformed with religion. Right? He confused.
He even transformed.
Religion is surface. Well,
I'm transformed by the
if he
Spirit.
let go
He can't
of
be
the
trained.
if he let go of the surface, he could be
He
saved.
bound, listen, he trying to bind me with the church, and he trying to bind me with his own spirit. The Bible said a man
We got
following his
the same
own
spirit.
spirit is a fool.
What up, Nate?
I follow the word because the word created all things. Who else I'm gonna follow? Man? Who else I'm
Okay,
gonna follow? My own
Yourself.
Hey,
I like that, but answer, I do like it. Good points. Yourself. Most people, right? I'm comfortable by myself. I've been cutting niggas off left and right, not to be rude, because listen. Until you learn to be comfortable in your own space without others, you will never ever obtain what you need to move forward in life, in mental and spirit. Right? Me training the spirit like Jesus talking about, that's meditation. That's doing things. That's action. That's not me sitting in the church or reading the book. Jesus lived his life doing works, going out in the world, not reading anything to anybody. But he did read, like he learned how to heal. And when he said earlier, when Jesus put mud on that man's eyes, right? And they talk about how when Jesus put mud on the man's eyes and the lady could see, the truth is that is voodoo. Right? But we know that Jesus